Hi, I'm Dr. Shook. Today I'd like to share with you guys the 3 stages of autoimmune diseases. In my practice, I primarily see conditions that are related to thyroid dysfunction or thyroid problems. But what we see by far is that most of the thyroid symptoms are actually driven by an autoimmune process against the thyroid. So most people, they'll have something like Hashimoto's disease. That's the most common problem that we see that tends to result in hypothyroidism or low thyroid function. Or they'll have something like Graves' disease, where the autoimmune process is attacking a part of the thyroid cells that actually stimulate the cell to make more thyroid hormone. In both of those cases, the mechanism that's causing most of the problem is an autoimmune process. So this is really important to understand. It's really important to understand that if you don't address the autoimmunity, then a lot of times the symptoms will persist even with thyroid hormone replacement, and that the condition, the autoimmunity, that you do not have autoimmunity. Most people, we know that from the literature, most people have autoimmunity against multiple tissues, more than one. So if you have a confirmed autoimmune condition like Hashimoto's or Graves' disease, there are likely other autoimmune conditions that have not been detected yet. It's really important to understand this because you need to address the autoimmune mechanism and the autoimmunity so that you can try to put it into remission so that it will not expand or cause continued tissue destruction. So let me explain to you these 3 different stages of autoimmunity because this is really, really important because this will explain to you what we see as far as presentation of autoimmune conditions, when the person starts becoming symptomatic, and when you reach a point where you are going to have much less success with reversing your symptoms and the destruction that's done by the autoimmunity. So let me go ahead and get started. So there are 3 stages of autoimmune diseases. Stage 1 is silent autoimmunity. Now, silent autoimmunity, what we know is that within about 5 years to 15 years prior to the person developing symptoms of an autoimmune condition. So for example, if you have Hashimoto's, 5 to 15 years prior to you having hypothyroid symptoms or thyroid-related symptoms, you would have antibodies. And we're just going to write AB. So silent autoimmunity, you would have positive antibodies to the tissue. So for example, if you have Hashimoto's, you would have positive antibodies to TPO, thyroid peroxidase, and or thyroglobulin, the TG, which is also inside the thyroid. Now, if that was Graves', it would be to the thyroid receptor. Okay, so you'd have positive antibodies there. This is what we see before the person actually becomes symptomatic. Most of the time, there are antibodies, but there's no tissue destruction. This is 5 to 15 years prior to you actually having any symptoms. This is where detecting if you're autoimmune is critical. Now, if you already have an autoimmune condition, then detecting if you have autoimmunity to other tissues and what tissues are being attacked is really important. Because if you have antibodies against your cerebellum, which is the back part of the brain, that's really important that we know you have antibodies. Because if you're not symptomatic yet, we have a window of opportunity to start focusing on dampening the autoimmunity, removing the autoimmune triggers, infections, environmental chemicals, and then really focusing on decreasing this autoimmune attack. Okay, so primarily we see infections, environmental chemicals, and then food peptides, or parts of the food proteins that drive autoimmunity. So this gives us a window of opportunity to say, okay, here's what the problems are. These are the predictive antibodies that you have against other tissues. So if it's against your cerebellum, if we can dampen the autoimmunity, not only can we stop or can we have the best opportunity to dampen or work towards putting your current autoimmune condition, let's say you have Hashimoto's, significantly improving the symptoms or putting it into remission, but we can also work on stopping this and dampening, slowing this process against these other tissues. Every tissue in your body can be attacked. Okay, that's a fact. Every single tissue enzyme in your body can be attacked. But we'll commonly see things like these enzymes being attacked in the brain, the cerebellum being attacked the transglutaminase part of the GI tract, the pancreas. You can see adrenal glands, heart tissue, bone, all kinds of things where the autoimmunity can expand. So we can test and determine, do you have antibodies against other tissues? And this gives us a window of opportunity. If you're not expressing symptoms, that's fantastic because you're still in stage 1, silent autoimmunity. Now, here's the thing. This is, you're asymptomatic, okay? Stage 2 is autoimmune reactivity. So this is the reactivity stage. Now, this is 5 to 15 years after the process began, okay? 5 to 15 years after the process began, you start to have reactivity. This is where you start to have significant tissue destruction. This is where the person, so if it's like thyroid, for example, the person may report symptoms of fatigue or that their body aches and that they hurt, or that maybe they get diagnosed with fibromyalgia. And what's happening is now they're getting tissue destruction. Okay, now they're starting to get some symptoms. They may or may not be on medications at this point. This is still where most people are not being medicated. There's no, usually, I mean, you might see someone taking a thyroid hormone replacement, but this is a lot of times where they start to become symptomatic, but it hasn't been diagnosed, and they're not necessarily taking symptoms. They'll get labeled with a lot of different conditions that often do not have, you know, objective markers. Like fibromyalgia, they just touch points on your body and tell you that if you hurt or not. That's really, you know, that's not explaining the mechanism causing it. That's just saying that you hurt everywhere, okay? And, you know, so this is where you start to have reactivity, okay? So this is where you'll start to be symptomatic. Now, if it progresses, at this point, these two stages are currently, with our current medical system in the United States, this is not, they don't call you autoimmune here. Even if the antibodies are high, they'll say, you'll hear doctors, a lot of doctors say, well, you may or may not be autoimmune. Because really, for an autoimmune disease, for stage 3, when you get in stage 3, this is where, in Western medicine, they're going to say you have an autoimmune disease. This is where you have seventy to 90% destruction of the target tissue. So this is where they start to see significant loss of function of the tissue that's being attacked, significant symptoms. It's verifiable via imaging in a lot of cases. So ultrasounds, MRIs, X-rays, they see visible tissue destruction. This is where you typically will get labeled from a Western medicine perspective. And then what are the options when you have full-blown autoimmune disease? Well, if they're going to medicate it, right, it's going to be anti-inflammatories, it's going to be steroids, and then you're looking at things like immunosuppressants. Okay, so immunosuppressants, the problem here is that a lot of these drugs have terrible side effects. And it's not that there's a time and place for everything. Okay, I believe that. The medications, I'm glad that we have them. But there's still no addressing the drivers of the autoimmune process. Right? So we know that drivers of the autoimmune process are going to be, that there are going to be infections. So we're talking about bacteria, yeast, parasites, molds. There are going to be environmental chemicals that trigger an immunological reaction. And then there are going to be food peptides, okay, portions of the food proteins that trigger an immunological response. That will exacerbate the immune system. And if you lose self-tolerance to your own tissues, meaning your immune system starts attacking your own tissues, which it shouldn't do, we know that those things can be drivers of the autoimmune process. So doesn't it make sense to detect those things, remove them from the person's environment to the best of your ability, focus on repairing the damaged systems and tissues of the body so that you can have a better and better regulated immune system, rather than just taking this approach where we suppress the immune system, we force anti-inflammatory effects on the body, and then we take immunosuppressants that just basically shut down the immune system's body, the immune system, and we know it causes things like these secondary cancers. Now again, I'm not saying that those things aren't appropriate. I am very thankful that we have these tools to help us. Okay, but from a basic, just perspective to look at this and say, does it make sense that I take these medications my entire life, or that we even let it get to that point. Doesn't it make sense to detect this stuff in these early stages, for one thing, if we can, detect them early, and then do something about removing the triggers so that we don't progress. Maybe we don't progress here. Maybe we can put it into remission so we don't get to this point. But even if you're at this point where you have this severe condition, if you don't identify these triggers and you don't remove them from your body, then what? I mean, we're not treating the reason that the immune system is attacking the body. If you're not looking at these drivers and these triggers, and these medications are helping you symptomatically, but I mean, at what cost? I mean, it's one of those things where, yeah, if we've got to use it, okay, but these are serious medications with very serious side effects. So my take on this is, let's try to detect this as early as possible. Let's focus on catching this thing and putting it into remission if we can, so that you don't have to progress here, or so that if you do, it's going to be much later in your life. We know the American Autoimmune Society, I believe it is, there are 53 million people that they believe right now or that are autoimmune in the United States. 53 million, okay? There are an estimated additional, so another 53 million people with silent autoimmunity. This is a huge, huge problem. And this is, if we're going to make a difference, this is what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to consider an approach like this. But you need to understand these different stages and realize that Western medicine only recognizes autoimmune disease at this phase. Okay? And that there's a lot more that we can do than just taking medications and forcing physiology or shutting down physiology. Like, actually, let's work with identifying what's driving the process so that we can work with our bodies rather than suppressing it, forcing physiology changes on it. If we need to do that, then that's fine. And if that's going to help symptomatically, then that's fine. But what about the drivers of the process? Okay? I, for one, and I think most of the people that I've come in contact with and that I talk to, everyone that I talk to is much more for identifying the drivers of the process rather than taking all these chemicals, right? That's what drugs are. They're chemicals. So I want to share this with you guys. I think this is really important to understand. It's a very, very important concept, and a lot of people are very confused about it. So I hope this has been helpful. If you have any questions, let me know. But I appreciate you taking time to come in our website and learn from me. I do the best that I can to just educate and make people aware of the situation with autoimmunity and thyroid problems in general. So thank you so much for taking time to be here. I'll see you on the next video. Hey guys, Dr. Shook, thank you for viewing our videos. I hope they help you out. If you want to, just subscribe to our channel somewhere here. You can watch a video that YouTube's actually selected for you, so hopefully it'll help you out. If you need any other information or resources, just look in the description. We've got links to our website, to our 9 lab test guidebook, and everything else that we do. I really appreciate you, and I hope you guys have a great